Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. My Dandavat pranams to everybody. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Today is the 12th of February, Monday, 2024. And we're meeting in Surabhi Kunj, the home of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to read his magnificent Jaiva Dharma together for about an hour. So we'll have a kirtan first, and then we'll begin again our study. We're on to chapter 11. Okay, confirm the sound is good. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Anjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Anitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda. Oh, Jaya Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gaura. Oh, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh, Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Guru Garanga Ganhava Gitari. Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Brishabhanandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai. Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astotar Sarashishimat, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Shila Gokishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Vedantacharya Ki Jai. Jai Shila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Shila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Shila Haras Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sigahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadweep Mayapur Simantadweep Gautam Dweep Madhya Dweep Koladweep Ritujit Janadweep Modamdweep Rudradweep Atmaka Navadweep Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvarasa Varmatmaka Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shamakun Ganga Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketra Mandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charidam Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Charya Charya Ki Jai. Akaramat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gauda Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Swarupe Dayata Swarupe Prema Swarupe Sahajabi Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhuika Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranavartino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatamba Sadipita Sada Hridare Kandare Swaratu Vasachi Nandanaha Yam Prabhajantamanapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparara Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radam Aravinda Netram Smarami Radam Marurasmitasyam Vadami Radam Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering the same again unto our dearmost Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandanamane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vansha kalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindhavevacha, patitanam pavnivyo Vaishnavena namaha. So coming to our Jaiva Dharma study and our Falshruti reading, which is on page, today we're doing the last four. We're on page 831. So normally on a Monday, we start at the beginning, but because we missed one day out with my Gurudev's Abhirbhav last week, so we missed these out, so we'll do today. Jaiva Dhamma Patishe Shura Bhakti Hoy, Jaiva Dhamma Napadile Kabe Bhakti Noy. One who reads Jaiva Dhamma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva Dharma can never attain Bhakti. So we've spoken many times of the authenticity of this Shastra, this Granta, this Jaiva Dharma. It contains all of Srimad Bhagavatam, all of Chaitanya Charitamrita, all of the books of the Goswamis in essence. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so erudite. He's so well read. When he was living in Puri for a number of years, there was an enormous library. I think it was dedicated to Jiva Goswami, perhaps. I'm not sure about that. But he was able to access that library and totally absorbed all these scriptures. Of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a Mahabhagavat. So these scriptures are already there within him, but he was reawakening them in his identity as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, and he has captured all these, and it's described like the whole ocean in a jar. So all the scriptures. So if you're not inclined to read this Jaiva Dharma, what are you inclined to read? This has the conclusion of all Shastra. And if we do study faithfully, it's saying faithfully, particularly faithfully. Faithfully means with care and attention and with faith. We're not doubting. Someone who has a doubt is going to be obstructed from entering into the Shastra. If you're fully faithful, then Shastra is an entity. It can reveal these secret, confidential truths in the heart so that the vision of this predicament, this material situation that we're in, will become clear. This is the nature of Shastra, pure Shastra. Rupanuga abhiman pate drita hoy, Jaiva Dharma vimuka ke dharma hine koi. Faithfully, again, faithfully reading Jaiva Dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva Dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is putting the emphasis on Rupanuga. This following in our Rupanuga Guru Vargya. Mahaprabhu has come to give a very selective gift, and it can only be delivered through the Manjaris, because the gift that he's come to deliver is Manjari Bhav, that Swa Bhakti Shriyam, which is the beauty we say in this verse, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Bhatinokalo, Samadapaitam Unnata Ujwala Ras. This is what Mahaprabhu's come to taste, and he's come to give us this Swa. Swa means own. Krishna's own is Sri Radhika. That's his most worshipable object. So that Swa Bhakti Shriyam, the beauty of his bhakti. The beauty of that bhakti is described by the acharyas as like the beauty in a flower. In a flower, there are many manjaris around the actual center point of the flower. In a sense, they're sort of protecting the flower. The bee lands on the flower, but the manjaris, they become aware of the bee landing on the flower. If you understand what the manjaris are, they're like tendrils, we can say in English. And then they gather around the center of the flower. So when the bee lands on the flower, these tendrils, they're also getting some experience of that flower. So this is the gift of the manjaris. When the manjaris, they serve Srimati Radhika in particular, because all of our Guru Vargya, this is the point that I'm making here about Rupanuga, all of our Guru Vargya, they're all completely tucked into the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Gopal Bhatta, all the Goswamis, Krishnadas Kaviraj, and they all have revealed their identities as direct Kaya Vyuha manifestations from Sri Radhika, as her manjaris. So this line is only about manjari bhav. These are the gifts. To get Saki bhav, for example, there must be a Saki who you're going to get that bhav from. Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, they weren't distributing Saki bhav. That would have been possible to have gotten from those two personalities. But my Gurudev is explaining in Vilap Kusumanjali, verse 2, that unless you have the Saki to actually receive that Saki bhav, then you can't It's just in your imagination. There has to be a realized Saki to give Saki Bhav. Just like to give the sannyas ashram, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has already said, can't be given by a grihasta. What does a grihasta understand about the nature of the sannyas ashram? He hasn't experienced it. He may imagine it, but he hasn't actually experienced it. There's a speciality, for example, in each ashram. But unless you've experienced that ashram, how can you give it? So similarly, with this Manjari Bhav, all of these personalities in our line, they are all fully competent to distribute this Manjari Bhav. All have revealed their eternal identity. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in particular, Kamala Manjari. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Nayan Mani Manjari. Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur, Vinod Manjari. All have delivered. My Gurudev, Raman Manjari. All have revealed their Manjari, because this is what Mahaprabhu has come to give. He's come to taste himself his own prem, his own prem that Sri Radhika receives from because of the sweetness and attraction of Radhika for Krishna. Then the sweetness that she experiences by receiving the sweetness of Krishna's love gives her a higher experience of prem than even Krishna can have. So now Krishna has come to taste that particular Madanakya Mahabhav, that prem. He's come to taste that. And in the Mohan, in the mood of separation, it's described that in the moods of separation, my Gurudev has described, separation is not really separation unless there is meeting in the separation. It's not actually Vipralamba Bhav unless there is meeting within that separation mood. And we see the example of the gopis when Krishna goes to Dwarka and Uddhav comes in the Brahmara Gita, in the 47th chapter of the 10th canto. Then the Divyan Mad, the incoherent talks, the Chitralpa, these moods that Radhika exhibits, the Parajalpa, Sanjalpa, Vijalpa, Abhijalpa, Ajalpa, all these different moods, Sanjalpa, finally, of incoherent talks, Chitra Jalpa. So this is, she is experiencing complete union internally, but it's exhibiting as a separation mood. It's very hard for us to understand meeting and separation because we always associate separation with something that is unfavorable. And when we read about the gopis' separation, it seems like they're burning in a great conflagration and they're exhibiting many symptoms of distress. It's described in Ananda Vrindavan Champu. There's many descriptions there. They feel like they've been bitten by 1,000 scorpions or their body has been cut by razors. This is how um, uh, Kavi Kanpur describes the separation of the gopis. But if there's not union within that separation, this is what we have to appreciate, the union within the separation. Then my Gurudev describes it's not really Vipralamba. So Mahaprabhu, he's experiencing this union with Sri Radhika, even though externally he's experiencing great distress and separation. He's calling out for Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. He's in the form of Radha. He's in the consciousness of Radha. He has Radha's Kanti, Radha's mood. And he's calling out for Krishna in desperation. He escapes from the Gambhira, even though all the doors are locked. He climbs over the wall and he's amongst the cows, and his body is looking like a tortoise or a pumpkin. All his limbs have come inside because he's experiencing the height of separation, but the union within the separation is there. So just a consideration that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is referring to this Rupanuga, followers of Rupa Goswami. Faithfully reading Jaiva Dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Rupa Goswami. This is going to give Manjari Bhav. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a Manjari. This is what he's giving. This is what Mahaprabhu has come to give in this age, remarkably, and it's never been given before. Anapita chirim chirat, not for a long, long, long time. One entire day of Lord Brahma, 8,640,000,000 years. This was when it was last distributed. So this is very confidential truths. And it's only in this particular Kali Yuga, for this framework of time. Yava jivane jay pade jaiva dharma, bhaktiman se jana brita jnana karma. One who faithfully, 3 times he's saying faithfully, reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of gyan and karma. Gyan and karma are 2 qualities on the ladder leading to bhakti. They are not in and of themselves the goal. The practice of karma is to achieve gyan, and the practice of gyan, assimilating knowledge, is to achieve bhakti, and they are parts of the same ladder. If we try to separate them and say, oh, I'm a karma kandi or I'm a gyan kandi, this is incorrect. If you separate it from the prayojan of bhakti, then this is fruitless. So to give up gyan and karma, we say anya bilasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. We maintain the gyan of the identity of Krishna, tat padartha gyan. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's Swayam Bhagavan. He's Raso Vaisa. He's Satchidananda Vigraha. These are the qualities of Krishna. And we retain the understanding of the jiva, tvam padartha gyan. So these 2 aspects of gyan should be retained. Who are you and who is Krishna? This has to be there. You can't say you throw all gyan away without understanding who is Krishna and who are you, and ultimately what is the relationship there. Because bhakti is about the relationship between Radha and between the jiva and Krishna and the material energy, these 3 vastus. So we dispel, we give up this gyan and karma totally, ultimately. Krishna Ramala Seva Labi Senara Seva Sukhi Magnaraha Sada Krishna Para. Such a man, being fully devoted to Sri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore, and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service. Devoted to Sri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore. What does this mean? This means Radha and Krishna in their Yugal Kishore form, in their embracing form. They're together. This Yugal Kishore. I'm worshipping that prem that they experience. I'm not going to experience that prem. I'm going to serve that prem. So the words are very clear. Fully devoted. It's devoted to Sri Radha and Krishna, devoted to their prem. Not that I am seeking my prem. The sadhak is not ultimately seeking anything for himself. This is a very high standard. This is a very high state of consciousness. In the conditioned material world, we think at every single step we take, will I enjoy this? Will I enjoy that? Will I enjoy the next 5 minutes? Will I enjoy the next 10 minutes? That's our consideration. We're calculating moment by moment. Shall I go here? Shall I go there? Will it be nice for me here? Will this be nice? Etc. But in the spiritual world, there's only one consideration: how to please Sri Radhika. If we're in this Rupanuga line, how to please Sri Radhika and serve that relationship between Radha and Krishna as the gopis and as the manjaris in particular. So this is a whole discussion, but we should get on with our chapter. But this is opens out a whole understanding of the gopis prem and the manjaris prem. There's a distinction. Okay, so Falshuti ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. So now we come to chapter 11, Nitya Dharma and idolatry. So last chapter was entitled Nitya Dharma and history. So we're getting the comparison. And before that, Nitya Dharma and material science and civilization. So in other words, we're hearing about the external aspects But where does the Nitya Dharma consideration come in? All right, we're going to hear about worshipping Takoji. So that's the what is the Nitya Dharma of this process, and what is the Anitya Dharma or the Nimitic Dharma of this process. That's going to be clear. Because if we know what is not really Takoji worship, then we can perform our Takoji worship much better if we know what it's not. It's called the Swarup Lakshan and the Tatashta Lakshan. The Tatashta Lakshan is what it isn't, and the Swarup Lakshan is what it is. So the chapter title is Nitya Dharma and Idolatry. On the western bank, that means from where we're sitting, across the Ganga into Navadvip, that's the western bank. On the western bank of the Bhagirati, in the Koladvip district of Navadvip, there is a famous village named Kulia Paharpur. At the time of Sriman Mahaprabhu, a highly respected and influential Vaishnava named Sri Madhavadas Chattopadhyaya, also known as Chakori Chattopadhyaya, lived in that village. Chakori Chattopadhyaya had a son named Sri Vamsivardhan Thakur. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Vadananda had tremendous power and authority. Everyone addressed him as Vamsi Vardhananda Prabhu because they regarded him as an incarnation of Krishna's flute. So this is a reality we can see in the Gauragajdana Deepika of who is Vamsivardhan. He's the incarnation of Krishna's flute. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is bringing this person into the pastimes that he's describing. He's describing these pastimes because he wants to make a Siddhantic point. So he's bringing all these aspects of the reality of Mahaprabhu's Leela, because the whole book, of course, is set in, or the first section of the book is set in Navadvip and Mahaprabhu's mercy. It's Mahaprabhu's mercy that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is eager to distribute, because this is what is available at this time in history. And this mercy of Mahaprabhu is so unique and special. Krishna didn't give this mercy. He tasted his own prem, but Mahaprabhu has come to Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karite Prachan. He's come to give all the worlds the mood of this Raganuga Bhakti, or give them an option for it. He's going to open a window, open a door, and it's always up to us because we always have independence whether we're going to go through that door or not. So that's in our hand whether we actually walk in there. That will be effective by the strength of our association. If we have healthy association leading us in that direction, then it'll become very simple for us to access the gifts of Mahaprabhu. He was a renowned and special recipient of Sri Vishnu Priya's mercy. Vishnu Priya, her appearance day is in 2 days on Wednesday. So it's very nice that we're hearing her name now in preparation for Wednesday, her appearance day. After Sri Priyaji's disappearance, that means Vishnu Priya's disappearance, Vamsi Prabhu transferred the deity whom she had worshipped from Sri Dham Mayapur, that's the deity of Vishnu Priya, to Kulia Paharpur, and his descendants carried out the service of this deity for some time after that. However, when his descendants obtained the mercy of Sri Janavamata and moved to Kulia moved from Kulia Paharpur to Sripat Bhaganpur, the worship of the deity was continued in Kulyagram by the Savites of Malancha. Malancha.
So the deity,
Huh?
what is the deity?
Sorry?
What is the deity?
This is the deity that we call it Dharmeshwar now.
Dharmeshwar, yeah.
Yes, this
Oh,
is,
yeah, I know.
yes, that deity. Kulyagram is situated on the opposite side of the Ganga from Prachina, old Navadvip. So Navadvip used to be on this side. That's where Mahaprabhu took his birth. The Yog pit is on this side of Ganga Devi, on the eastern side. But we are talking about the western side. This is being described on the western side. So it's saying here that old Navadvip, which is here near Mayapur, in Mayapur, Mayapur is in Navadvip, and at that time included many small settlements, among which Chidadanga and a few others were quite famous. Once a devotee merchant of Chinadanga arranged a spiritual festival in the temple of Kulia Paharpur and issued invitations to many Brahmin Pandits and all the Vaishnavas within the 32 square mile circumference of Navadvip. On the day of the festival, the Vaishnavas came from all directions, each accompanied by their own entourage. Sri Anantadas came from the Shingapali, Gaurachand Das Babaji came from Sri Mayapur, and Sri Narayan Das Babaji came from Sri Bilva Pushkarini. The renowned Naraharidas came from Sri Moduram. Sri Paramahamsa Babaji and Sri Vaishnava Das came from Sri Godaram, and Sachinandan Das came from Sri Samudraga. So if we become familiar with the Gora Mandal, and I can post a nice diagram on our WhatsApp thread, perhaps we can get it on the Facebook thread afterwards also, of the different islands in the shape of a beautiful lotus. And you can see and it's also in the shape of a conch shell simultaneously. The actual blowing hole of the conch shell is right in Mayapur itself. It's the very heart of the mandal. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so kind. He's giving us the whole picture. He's giving us all the descriptions. He's taking us into this Goradam in such a beautiful, sublime way. The Vaishnavas' foreheads were decorated with vertical tilak markings, Urdhva Pundra, indicating that their bodies were temples of Sri Hari. This Urdhva Pundra means just the tilak that we wear. On their necks, they wore tulsi mala, and their limbs looked splendid, being stamped with the names of Sri Gauranityananda. Some held Harinam malas in their hands, and others loudly performed Sankirtan of the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What a beautiful impression. We need some artists to actually depict all this for us and give us a direct impression. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a very creative personality. We get that feeling actually as we read. Creative in all kinds of ways. We get inspired to support these truths in beautiful, creative ways. So more paintings are needed to fill this, um, the impression of these chapters. To the accompaniment of mridanga and kartels, and some danced continuously as they moved along, chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Brinda. In the bodies of many of the Vaishnavas were seen the external manifestations of ecstasy, because we can be internally ecstatic, but then if it's really um, true, those internal manifestations will manifest externally in the form of tears and hairs standing on end, etc., trembling of the body. Those anubhavs, they will manifest externally. So he's saying here, um, was seen, I'll read again. In the bodies of many of the Vaishnavas were seen the external manifestations of ecstasy, such as torrents of tears and hairs standing on end. While weeping, some called out fervently, "O Gorkishore, when will you grant me a vision of your external pastimes in Navadvip?" Gorkishore is another name of Sachinandan Gaurahari. It's not our um, Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Gorkishore. It's a name for Mahaprabhu. There were many groups of Vaishnavas who sang Sri Nam with the accompaniment of mridanga and other instruments as they walked. Reminds us of our parikrama parties. We would have parikrama parties previously with my Gurudev, and sometimes there was 15, 20,000 people coming from all over Bengal, all over India actually. There would be no room for even accommodation to sleep. Everyone would just sleep in the pathways, in the gardens, everyone on all the different, any corner they could find just to rest. But they were huge, huge parikramas. I can remember once timing the parikrama when it was walking past where I was sitting, and it was more than an hour. It was about an hour and 20 minutes for the whole parikrama party just to walk past. So when you get in a thunderous kirtan within a group of Vaishnavas of this nature, it's tremendously inspiring for the heart. And Gorpranim is just around the corner. And during the month of Gorpranim, there are so many Prikrama parties roaming around all the way through this Goromandal everywhere. Sometimes 3 or 4 Parikrama parties come together. And then the crescendo of the kirtan is just like the sky is going to break apart. And it's very, very exhilarating for the shraddha, for the faith of the devotees to appreciate the potency in kirtan, the Sankirtan ras, because Godrum Dweep in particular is the quality of Godrum is Sankirtan ras, is Nam Bhajan, Kirtan. This is the quality of Godrum. So when you hear these kirtan parties coming together, it's colossal. It's really an experience. And your hairs will stand on end because it's so um, powerful. The women of Kulia, who were also bhaktas of Sri Gauranga, became astonished to see these spiritual emotions and praised the spiritual good fortune of the Vaishnavas. Proceeding in this way, the Vaishnavas arrived at the Natya Mandir, the dancing mandir, directly adjacent to the deity's altar. This was where Sriman Mahaprabhu would dance and perform Sankirtan. The merchant who was sponsoring the festival greeted all of them. It's saying very clearly that this is where Mahaprabhu would dance with his kirtan. So the roots, the atmosphere of that kirtan, which is completely coming from Goloka Vrindavan or Swetadweep, is going to be still resonating in the atmosphere. It's like when you go to the yog pit and you place your head on the ground, you can practically be aware of the magnetic weight of that potency in the yog pit itself, because Krishna took his birth from that place. It's transcendental. He came from that transcendental spiritual world. So if we're chanting nicely, if we're practicing our sadhan bhajan, we can be aware of the absolute reality of the Lord's pastimes only a few hundred years ago. So it's still reverberating in the atmosphere very powerfully. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying specifically, this was where Sriman Mahaprabhu would dance and perform Sankirtan. The merchant who was sponsoring the festival greeted all of them. As a symbol of submission, he wore a cloth around his neck, and he fell at the Vaishnava's feet, expressing sentiments of great humility. We often see someone who is hosting a program, they'll put a cloth around their neck. It signifies humility, just like Krishna when he returned to the gopis and he sang this beautiful verse, Na Pariyeham Niravadya, after the gopis had sung their heart wrenching Gopi Geet, calling for him. He came in a very humble mood before them. He put his cloth, his pitamba, around his neck, demonstrating this mood of humility. This is what the cloth around the neck signifies. So the merchant is in this capacity. He's acting like that. This is not a karmi merchant. This is a Vaishnava merchant. He's calling all these Vaishnavas for the purpose of increasing his own bhakti. This is the objective. When all the Vaishnavas were seated in the Nata Mandir, the temple Sevites brought prasadam, flower, garlands, and placed them around their necks. This is also very important. They didn't just go to the shop and buy some garlands and then put them all on the devotees' necks. All the garlands had been offered first. My Gurudev would always be very, very insistent on this. Sometimes people would run in with a garland and he knew it wasn't offered. And he would ask, who is this offered from? Who have you given it to? And then we would have to place it in front of Tulsi Devi, offer it to her. Guru only accepts prasadam. He doesn't ever accept anything else except Mahaprasadam. That's all Guru will accept. So you can't offer him any type of bhoga. It all has to be offered first. And then it has potency. Why would a pure devotee want to take anything that has not been offered to Krishna for himself? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes all these particular points as we read it through. He brought prasadam flower garlands and placed them around their necks. The poetic shlokas of Sri Chaitanya Mangal were then melodiously chanted. And upon hearing the ambrosial Leela of Sri Chaitanya Dev, these Vaishnavas began to manifest various types of sattvika bhavs. Sattvika bhavs are even higher than anubhavs. A sattvika bhav is when the very elements of the body become touched by the emotions. The emotions are so deep and so moving that these emotions of tears, they horripilation, kampu, uh, what is it? Uh, Stumba, being stunned. There are eight different stumba, ashru, tears, and this romancha, kampu, these different sattvika bhavs were all being manifest by the Vaishnavas, which is very high. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is right, taking us right to the top. He's showing us what it's like to live in the world where there are so many pure Vaishnavas that they will exhibit these anubhavs and even sattvika bhavs publicly in an assembly. And I was describing the other day about Bhaktivedanta Srila Trivikram Maharaj, how wherever he went on the parikrama, he would just be weeping and weeping and weeping. This is coming from the very core of his heart. This is an absolute Mahabhagavat their hearts have become so soft, and when they're remembering the pastimes, great. It's when the heart gets so full that it overflows through the eyes. That's what tears are. It's not like um, the like a mad person. His heart is empty. He doesn't cry because the symptoms of sattvic bhav can sometimes produce externally a mood like what we would call madness materially, but it's a spiritual madness. Unmad, this mood.
What's the difference on the ball and sattvic above?
Anubhavs are externally manifested, and the sattvika bhavs, their manifestation is much more significant. The anubhavs are like rolling around on the ground and shouting very, very loudly and having no inhibition about public opinion. These are just some, there's 14 anubhavs or 13 anubhavs, depending on which book you read. There's even described 11 in some places. But these anubhavs is described when the mental quantum is still present, when there's still some cognition, when the mind still kind of knows what's going on, right? But a sattvika bhav, that comprehension or rationale has totally evaporated. There's nothing there. It's just like an electric current has come into you and you're just responding. That's the distinction between anubhav. Anubhav, you still have some mental cognition.
Somewhere it said involuntary. Sattvic above are involuntary.
Yes, you can say like that. You're not instigating them. They just come by themselves, involuntary. Yes, you can say like that. Um, Sattvic abhaves. While they were thus absorbed in Prem Ananda, the doorkeeper entered and addressed the authorities of the temple. The chief mullah of Satsaika Paragan is sitting outside the assembly hall with his associates and followers. He requests to have a discussion with some of the Vaishnava Pandits. Can you imagine going from this ecstatic mood and then all of a sudden one mullah from the Muslim community has arrived? We'll see. The temple authorities in turn informed the exalted Pandit Babajis that the mullah had arrived and desired to speak with them. As soon as the Vaishnavas received this news, due to a break in the flow of transcendental rasa, the mood of their assembly became overcast with dejection. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's not like he's saying anything, what do you call it, racist or something crazy like that, you know? It's a fact that when the Vaishnavas are experiencing transcendental rasa, and then a group of people come in who have no connection with transcendental rasa, like the Muslims, then of course those confidential moods have to be restrained and held within the devotees. So they weren't able to actually exhibit their moods. Interesting that this is the third chapter that we're hearing about the Muslims in this Jaiva Dharma, because there are many, many Muslims here. and we need to appreciate what is their philosophy and how, because Mahaprabhu, he gave so much kripa to the Chankazi, and these personalities in Navadvip, they've had that kripa. And we should understand also that most of the Muslims in Bengal, for example, they all were originally Hindus, and they've been what do you call um, uh, changed, to become
Converted.
converted, converted to become Muslims. So they have the seeds or sanskars. All the Muslims here, they all hear the Janmashtami celebrations. They all hear the Hare Krishna mantra practically every single day. They're all hearing all of these transcendental sound vibrations. So they're not like the hardcore Muslims in some countries where they're completely violent practically towards any Hindus or any other type of followers. So there's some distinction here, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings this out. Yes, so the assembly became overcast with dejection. Krishnadas Babaji Mahashai of Sri Madhyadweep inquired from the temple authorities, "What is the Mullah Sahib's intention?" Knowing the Mullah's purpose, they replied, "The Mullah Sahib wants to discuss some spiritual matters with the Vaishnava Pandits." They added that the mullah was the foremost amongst Muslim scholars. Remember, I think it was in the third chapter, Lahari Mahashai, he meets, or the fourth chapter, he meets with the Muslims and they have an engagement there. And then again, um, when was the third time? There was another time, second time also. Um, they added that the mullah was the foremost amongst Muslim scholars and was highly respected by the Emperor of Delhi, although always devoted to the promotion of his own religion, because mullah means the um, priest, chief priest of that religion. That's what it means. He was not in the least inimical or belligerent towards other religions. So this is not a confrontational um, desire of the mullah. The temple authorities humbly requested that one or two Vaishnava Pandits should come forward and discuss the Shastra with him to display the preeminence of the sacred Vaishnava Dharma. This was the objective, to share the principles of Vaishnava Dharma. If they're inquiring, like previously, um, the Vaishnavas had been challenged at different times, so they have to respond. In the sixth chapter, when those pundits go, Chudamani, etc., they question the Vaishnavas, are they following the Mahajans? And then the Vaishnavas are feeling very much slighted because they've been accused of not even following the Mahajans. So they have to go and purify that attack on them. This is when they will engage in debate or conversation. Otherwise, the Vaishnavas don't have any need or necessity for these debates or arguments like that. You understand? Um, some of the Vaishnavas felt inspired to speak with the Mullah Sahib, seeing an opportunity to propound Vaishnava Dharma. In the end, they decided amongst themselves that Gorachand Das Pandit Babaji of Sri Mayapur, Vaishnav Das Pandit Babaji of Sri Godram, Prem Das Babaji of Janunagar, and Kali Pavan Das Babaji of Champahata should discourse with the Mullah Sahib. All the other Vaishnavas could also go to witness their discussion. When the recitation of Sri Chaitanya Mangal was completed, yes, they're going to finish their recitation of Chaitanya Mangal, they would actually regularly sit and read just the beautiful verses. If you listen to someone chanting the Bengali beautiful verses of the Chaitanya Mangal, it's so beautiful and melodic. Hearing this decision, the four Babajis loudly exclaimed, "Jai Nityananda," and followed the Mahant into the large courtyard outside the temple. The mullah and his company were seated in the courtyard under the pleasant and cooling shade of a large banyan tree. When they saw the Vaishnavas approaching, the mullah and his party stood up cordially to receive them. Knowing all jivas as servants of Krishna, the Vaishnavas in turn offered dandavats to Sri Vasudev, situated in the heart of the mullah and his associates, and then took their respective seats. So we get the whole atmosphere of respect. Again, another painting must be done of this because it's going to be described later on. Their horses were there, all very regally decorated, etc. And then many people came to listen to this discussion, and the mullahs themselves were there, and the Vaishnavas were there. And it's a very beautiful idea for a painting, a beautiful painting. I hope the devotees will be inspired to sometimes produce these paintings. Knowing all, yes, the setting was extraordinary to behold. Yes, this is what I was describing. On one side sat 50 well dressed Muslim scholars. 50, that's a lot. 50 well dressed Muslim scholars with white beards, with their majestic, decorated stallions tethered behind them. Beautiful impression. On the other side, four Vaishnavas of divine appearance and in a humble mood. See the distinction? One is like full Aishwarya, the other is more inclined to Madhurya. One is very simple, but the other is majestic. So there's a distinction, there's a mood. On the other side, four Vaishnavas of divine appearance sat in a humble mood. With great anticipation, many Hindus came and sat behind them. Many others gathered there as well, taking seats nearby. So a huge assembly had come. This is a wonderful opportunity for the Vaishnavas to spread Vaishnava Dharma amongst the conditioned souls. Whether or not the mullah is going to be converted or anything like that is not the question. It's actually an opportunity to speak Vaishnava Dharma. It's the activities of the Vaishnavas. Pandit Gaurachandra was the first to speak. It's described in our notes here by our dear friend Sriman Navadvip Prabhu that the name of the mullah means the rising sun in the material sky. And this is Gaurachandra, means the rising sun in Navadvip, in Goradam. So these two moons are going to meet, actually. It's very beautiful. You should read the notes in the 11th canto, written by 11th chapter, Navadvip Prabhu. He was a scholar, a complete, and he went into the etymology of all the different names, etc. It's fascinating. Pandit Gaurachandra was the first to speak. He inquired, O great souls, why have you summoned such insignificant people as ourselves? Never for a second are they thinking that they have any importance. They do have the most importance because they're holding the transcendental jewels within their hearts of all creation and transcendence. And the nature of those jewels makes one feel completely humble. Isn't it remarkable? You got the highest thing, and yet the actual, you feel yourself the lowest. And if you've got the lowest thing, you feel the highest. You feel you're puffed up, right? You want to, you know, exhibit your pride everywhere. This is the nature in the material world. One who is humble and meek, like generally the villagers and people like that, they're humble, so they can actually hear the holy name. They know the laws of Dharma, and they can be gifted. And it's described, we were talking on Saturday, that why does Mahaprabhu come to give these immense treasures in this dark Kali Yuga? And it's described that because the people, generally speaking, they know they don't have anything because they're always disturbed. So it's very easy for them to be humble. It's very easy to take a humble mood. So many innocent people and um, lower class people. That was the question that was asked in the about the history. Harihara, not Hari, Nyaya Ratna is asking Babaji, why has Mahaprabhu come to give such low class people this highest conception? And he says because they have the quality of humility. It's only by that quality of humility that you can receive these truths. If you're thinking you're very special, you're empowered, you're a great personality on any level, then you'll restrict it completely because it's all about the magnificence and beauty and speciality of the spiritual world. It's not about us. We are anuchit, very, very tiny. This is the place we want to
It's
appreciate.
actually, we can connect this with the
Huh?
verse in Bhagavad Gita that those who are distressed, I mean, amongst the four of them,
Yes,
that
they come.
yeah.
Those distressed. Yes,
So
very good.
majority of them come from distressed group,
Yes,
I suppose.
yes. Distressed. What is it? And this.
The one who desires wealth, the inquisitive, and the jnani,
Yes,
which are very rare.
very good. You know your Bhagavad Gita. Very nice. Very nice. No, it's good. 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 So yes, these people are all distressed. That person hungry for wealth, etc. Those who are sick and so on. They have some reason to be humble. Therefore, they can understand these higher topics. But those people who are proud of their gyan, the pundits, etc., they can't access this truth. Mullah Badruddin Sahib. So this name, Badruddin Sahib, in the etymology is described about the moon in the world. Humbly replied, Salam, we desire to ask a few questions. Pandit Gaurachandra said, what knowledge might we have that can possibly answer your erudite questions? So proud people like to be flattered because they think they're very important. So if you tell them how important they are, then they'll perhaps listen to you. When you meet someone who's very proud, oh, yes, you are very special, this and that, and then they'll listen to what you have to say also. It's a science that the devotees, Vaishnavas, understand how to actually approach people. And if someone is very proud, my Gurudev, you say, you flatter and patter. You flatter them. And then they start to feel, oh, yes, he loves me. He recognizes how great I am. And then he might listen to you. But if you try to put him down, he's not going to listen. Badruddin Sahib came a little closer and said, brothers, the Devas and Devis have been worshipped in Hindu society since ancient times. Now we see in our Sharif that Allah is one, not two, and that He has no form. It is an offense to make an image of Him and worship it. I have a doubt about this issue, and I have consulted many Brahman Pandits in the hope of resolving it. Those Pandits replied that Allah is actually formless. However, one cannot possibly conceive of that which has no form. Therefore, one should first make an imaginary form of Allah and meditate upon Him by worshipping that form. However, I am not satisfied with this answer because creating an imaginary form of Allah is the work of Satan. It is known as But, and it is completely forbidden to worship it. Far from pleasing Allah, such worship only makes one subject to His punishment. You have heard that we have heard that your original preceptor, Sri Chaitanya Dev, corrected all the faults in Hindu Dharma. Yet his sampradaya also makes provision for worshipping material forms. We want to know why you Vaishnavas have not yet given up the worship of material forms, although you are expert in the decisions of Shastra. So we'll stop there. So that's the question that's going to be unpacked throughout the rest of this chapter to prove the efficacy, the reality of Thakurji worship. It's very beautiful and it's a very important question. We need to know because many people in the world, not just Muslims, Christians also, they will condemn us. Why are you worshiping an idol? They will call it idol worship. So we should know this tattva and shastra.
Unfortunately, many Indians also
I know,
say
yes,
idol.
I know. The Indians also, they've trying to
But
follow like,
that's a language issue.
I know, they call it idols. No, no, it's not just a language issue.
Oh.
They haven't been educated. So Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo Hare Nitya Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gora Hari Bol Nitya Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gora Hari Bol Gaul Premanande Hari Hari Bol Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo